Hi friends, it's Amy. Welcome to Dokidokiforest. Now today we are going to be working in this book which I almost forgot about. So you may remember a few thrifty Thursdays ago, I had picked up this book, The Tale of Jemima Puddle Duck, at a book sale, and I love these Beatrix Potter books, but I was thinking I would like to alter this book, and the previous owner has already added some stickers here and there inside, sometimes on the text, sometimes just down below. See, they have some stickers in there, Easter stickers, spring stickers, and that kind of got me thinking like, oh, this would be really fun to alter. I'm going to leave the center pictures. I think I'm going to cover up the text, and I'm going to just turn this into like a spring extravaganza. So I've been collecting all kinds of images that I am going to just glue in here. So it's going to be a glue book. I'll try to keep these stickers if I can, because I kind of like taking inspiration. So like I can do a little page about the rain here. This little umbrella there. So I'll do my best to kind of keep those. But yeah, so it'll be a little bit of everything for spring. It may be some Easter. It'll be a lot of like flowers and, like I said, rain, different spring animals, just images that remind me of spring. And I have been collecting and trimming and gathering like crazy. So I have plenty of images to go through and see what will fit in this book and what will work. So I'm excited because, like I said, I almost totally forgot about this. My plan was to take this and turn it into a spring glue book, altered book. And luckily, I remembered before spring was over. So it's right at the beginning of spring. And even though Easter has passed, I probably will put a few images in here, just so that way each year, if somebody were to take this out and look at it for spring, it kind of covers a little bit of everything. So I'm going to do a voiceover now, because we all know I don't talk too much when I am gluing away and staring at the page, and it does take me quite a bit of time. So I don't think you want to hang out for hours while I'm just, staring at this and holding up a picture and thinking like, does this work? Let me think. Maybe I'll cut this out. So anyway, yeah, you don't want to be here for all of that. So we'll switch to voiceover. Okay, voiceover mode activated. And here we go. We're just going to grab a bunch of images. I have undertaken a huge task. The past few days, I have decided to go through all of the magazines that I have gathered, all of them, whether, they're from the library and they were free, or I have a few subscription magazines. I have a few magazines that were sent from friends, and I just want to harvest all of them because it's just getting to be too much. It's really fun, but I want to make room. I want to use what I have, and I want to go through. So I just thought this is the perfect chance for me to both clean up the studio by going through these magazines and getting a bunch of new images. Because if there's one thing we can be sure of, it's that we will come across more magazines. And I had saved them because I was thinking, I want to harvest all of these with you, and I wanted to film them all. And then I just realized that's just going to be way too much time, and that's just going to make me hang on to these magazines longer because, I don't want to put out a harvest video every single day, and I don't even know if I could do one every single week. So it was just one of those things where I was like, if I want to film every time I do it, it could take me a really long time, and has already taken me a really long time to go through these magazines. So I decided it was best to just harvest all of them, or at least 90% of them, and maybe leave a couple to do with you guys, but the rest I'm just going to go through, get rid of, I have been going through and getting rid of them, recycling them once I'm done, and just refreshing, getting a bunch of new images. And, it's so good to go through the magazines, get the images out of there, and just start using them. And this time I had a mission. When I was going through them, I was really trying to look for spring-y sort of images. Now, a lot of these came from Birds and Blooms, which is loaded, but I also had things like Country Living, Better Homes and Garden. What else did I have? I had a bunch of random magazines too. I had Alert Diver, which is a scuba diving magazine, and I had an astronomy magazine and a Scientific American, just and a ton of nature magazines, all kinds of different things, National Wildlife and Sierra, and just, all kinds of stuff. So these images were pulled from all different magazines, but I would say that all these flower images, I'm pretty sure, came from Birds and Blooms. So I thought, as I'm going through the book, I've decided that I will cover up the text, but I really want to try to leave the illustrations as much as possible. So it's almost like I will be building my glue pages around them, and there's these little windows, so you can still see the story, but there's also just going to be all of these springy images. And some of the pages will be inspired by, as I said, the stickers that the previous owner stuck on there. So I know there's one page that is loaded with Easter stickers. So I have some Easter images I will put on that page. And this page just had a couple of random stickers. So I peeled those off. I am going to try to save most of them, as I mentioned, and put them back in, because I just love the idea that somebody basically started altering this book. It was probably a child who had this beforehand, and I just love the idea that they were adding to the pages and improving them, making use of all that space, because there is a lot of empty space in this book. And I have a few versions of this Jemima Puddle Duck book. I have the small size that we're all used to, the set of Beatrix Potter books. And then recently I picked up a pop-up book as well from a book sale. So I was very excited about that. So I don't really feel bad about covering up these pages, because again, I feel like I'm kind of honoring the original owner's wish, kind of taking their idea and maybe making it next level, instead of just stickers here and there, we're going to just load it up. And then I also have 2 other versions of it. So at least 2 other versions, I think 2. So I think we're good. So these pages are very flower-centric, mostly flowers on these pages, and I'm just, you know what it was? I was really fussing with this page on the right. I was agonizing agonizing is dramatic, but when you're just overthinking, I guess I should say, I was overthinking about how to place these images. And I wanted to be able to cover up the space, the white space, and I just was having a hard time. I kept thinking, well, maybe if I put this here, put that there, well, maybe if I fussy cut that flower. And to be honest, I was kind of driving myself nuts, because that wasn't the point of this glue book. The point of this glue book was to sit down and relax. So I cut out a few things. Now I'm wiping everything away. And here's the point where I was like, okay, you know what? We got to just glue it. I'm just going to glue this whole thing, and I'm just going to stick these squares on. I'm just going to make a background. I'm tired of overthinking everything. So to get myself out of it, I just put the glue on the page, and I just started gluing pretty quickly without really overthinking it or giving myself a chance to overthink it. And that really helped me. I think it's always tough too when it's the first page of anything. These were the first 2 pages in the book that I had done. So I still felt that sense of trepidation about quote unquote ruining the book, Would what I was doing, would that make it better? Or am I making it worse? Like, I don't know. All these things that I sort of struggle with altered books. To alter or not to alter, that is the question for sure for me. I just have a hard time with it. And again, that's just my own personal issue. I absolutely love when I see other people doing it, because I think I don't feel, of course you don't feel that pressure. You're watching somebody else do it, so you can just enjoy it. Be like, wow, looks amazing. I have seen so many videos of people gluing in their altered books and painting, and I love it. I love it all. So I want to try to be better about giving myself that, enjoyment, like just get into it. So it was helpful really for me to just glue, just start sticking things down. But it took a while for me to get there. I mean, it sounds so simple, like, well, of course, you get images and you glue them down. But it can be hard when you get stuck in your own mindset. You kind of have to break out of it. And like I said, I'm hoping it'll get easier now that I've kind of like taken the plunge into the book. It definitely got easier. The less white space I saw, the more comfortable I felt. Because then I felt like, okay, now I've gotten the first layer down. And of course, you can always go back in and add more on top. But there was just something that was very satisfying about getting that first layer down. It has been an eventful week. Couple of weeks here. Last week I was in the studio and I was sitting here working on something, and all of a sudden my bookshelves started shaking. I could just feel it, and I felt like I could hear almost like a truck sound. But I was like, why is everything shaking? I have my books on my bookshelves, but I also have some figures, and they're actually they were the Sailor Moon figures I have up on the shelf, and they were shaking like crazy. And I was like, this is so weird. And so I texted my husband and I said, are we having an earthquake right now? And he's like, I don't feel anything. And sure enough, there was an earthquake in New Jersey. So I'm in New England, and I could feel it, and it was quick, but it was one of those things that when you feel it, that's not just a truck driving by. It's something else. And I've only felt it one other time. And again, it was the same kind of thing where it was just like a tremor that I felt, and everything shook, and I could feel the rumble in the floor. And it's just very, very odd. You're to be aware of Mother Nature like that. You're just like, wow. You don't think that something like that can just happen, but it can. So that was pretty wild. And then yesterday, of course, we had the solar eclipse, and that was very cool. There was just a sliver of sun that remained that didn't get blocked, and it was really cool. You could feel the temperature drop. It was a very warm day for us here. It was like in the 60s, and you could definitely feel it get cooler. Now, the weird thing is we didn't have, it didn't get totally dark. It did get darker, but it just sort of amazed me that just that sliver of sun that was left could still keep everything, pretty bright. I was hoping for darkness. I know some people got they had to turn the lights on. It got dark. I was like, wow, it's super cool. But it was very cool. We had the glasses, the special glasses, we put on, and what a difference that made, because I put my phone up and took a picture, and it just looked like the sun. And then you put the special glasses on and you look up and you can totally see the eclipse. So it was wild. It's very cool. I had a good time with that. And we had a very good view. And so that has been the past few days. It's pretty wild. Let me know if you were able to see the eclipse and how it looked to you, or if you noticed any changes in the air or the temperature or anything like that. Let me know. So this page is just about done, at least for now. I'm just finding little odds and ends that I can glue on. I do like to try to cover up, if I have like a hard edge, I like to put something on there to try to help the whole thing blend together. Added some little baby chicks down there at the bottom. Now, next up, we are going to turn to a page that had some stickers about rain, and we're going to be inspired by that. So you can see there's like a little rainbow with some raindrops, and then there's a little umbrella with some rain. There's also a couple of Easter stickers, but we're not going to do Easter on here. I really wanted to just find my images that had to do with rain and figure out if I could put them all on here. So I had these little girls in their rain jackets on the left there. Unfortunately, they were on the cover of a Reminisce magazine, so there was like an address label down where the girl on the right, where her boots were. So they're kind of an oddly shaped image, but I still wanted to make it work. Oh, and then the top of the umbrella had the words like, reminisce, and then whatever the articles inside were. So I had to trim it, but I think you can still tell that they're under an umbrella. And same thing with this lady that's like laughing. She was holding an umbrella, but she also had text all over her and like a big like 20% off inside or something. So by the time I trimmed it out, I was like, all right, well, I think you can still tell there's like water, and hopefully you can tell they're holding umbrellas. And then I was thinking, well, April showers bring Mayflowers and also help all the plants and the garden veggies grow and all that. So I wanted to include the little seedlings growing. I thought that would be cute. And then I had a picture I had cut out of the Blu-ray for Singing in the Rain. So I thought that's perfect. So I definitely want to put that on the page. I love that movie. It just occurred to me, I haven't seen that movie in like a couple decades now, I think. But I love that movie, so that should be on my springtime movie list. You know how we have sometimes we have winter movie list, like maybe you celebrate Christmas and you have Christmas movies that you like, or just something that's like a cozy winter movie or something like that. But I don't think I have a spring movie list. Let me know if there's any movies you would recommend for spring. Miss Potter would be a good one, right? That would be a good one to watch. But yeah, so there's just a lot of time that I spend in my glue books, just thinking about where I'm going to put stuff. And sometimes a story happens and sometimes it doesn't. But I found this little robin, and I was thinking oh yes, the birds are all singing. The robins are back for spring. But to be honest, the robins don't even fully leave here anymore. And I've probably talked about this before, but when I was a kid, the robins would fly south for the winter. So when you saw a robin, you knew it was springtime, and you'd get all excited. But now we have robins that stay throughout the winter. And I was always worried about it. And then I read an article, I believe it was in Birds and Blooms, and they talked about how the robins that stay have adapted, and they have thicker fluff and feathers, and they're able to withstand the colder temperatures, and they're able to, I don't know what they eat. It did tell me what they ate. I forget. Because, usually they like to eat worms. But it turns out there's berries, I think, was a big one. But those only last so long. And then they can pretty much forage. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting because I was all worried. I was like, oh, these robins, why are they staying here? Why don't they fly south? But it turns out they're okay, and they're hardy little birds. And there they are. I loved that little picture of them all around the bird bath. Thought that was cute. And then I loved this image with the little pond and the lily pads, and I can just imagine the sound of the rain on those lily pads, and so I loved that. And then I'm just trimming this little seedling so that I can fit it over there next to Miss Jemima Puddle Duck. And of course we have to have some rain with a name like Puddle Duck. You got to have some puddles, you got to have some water and rain. And the birds are singing. They are loving it. So everybody is happy and enjoying the spring. They're loving the rain. They're singing in the rain. So I've got the movie Singing in the Rain. The birds are singing in the rain. And then I have the water in this little, like, what do you call it? A water pump. And then a little froggy is also singing. So the frogs are very excited about spring. And that is true. I was out walking a dog today, and I heard this strange sound. Now, we have spring peepers. I have heard those as well. But this was different. This was like a little like, what, what, what. And it was actually frogs. It was little frogs chirping away. They were happily chirping. So, of course, I have to add some frogs to these pages. That is one thing I'm so excited about with spring, is I love hearing the frogs. I love seeing the frogs. Sometimes they like to hang out in the road, though, especially if it's a cool summer night and it's rained. They all like to go and sit in the road. It's very dangerous for them. I don't like when they do that. But I do love to hear spring peepers. It's like you realize how quiet the night has been when suddenly you go out and it's just full of life. And then during the winter, you know, it's like maybe an owl here and there, but it's pretty quiet. So it's always nice to hear the spring peepers. So now that I have moved everything and arranged everything and figured out pretty much where I want things to go, I'm going to go ahead and glue them down. I want to make sure when I put this frog down, I don't put the frog in the crease too much. I really want to be able to see that little frog. So I'm just trying to place it carefully. Yeah, so I definitely feel like I have found my groove when I'm doing these pages, much more so than when I had just the flower pages. And that could be too because it was a lot of flowers. Maybe I just need to jazz it up and add some animals and things like that. And I'm taking that little basket sticker off because I want to save that and add it to an Easter page. But, you know, as I said, I'm going to leave that rainbow sticker, and I have the umbrella sticker, so I will be sure to add that on one of these pages. Oh, you know what? One thing I was going to ask you about. What do you think about the cover of this book? Should I do something with it? And if so, what should I do? What would you do? Would you leave it the way it is? Would you use some Mod Podge maybe and do a little like collage on the front for spring? Would you try painting it? I wasn't quite sure what to do, but I feel like I do want to alter it in some way. I do want to do something. I think my idea for now was maybe to try like Mod Podge and just glue a collage on the front and the back. I was thinking that way the Mod Podge would kind of protect it, so any collage bits and pieces that were on the front, you know, if I'm putting the book on a shelf and taking it off a shelf, if it rubs against like other journals or books, I figure the Mod Podge will protect it. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Oh, and I added a busy little beaver up there in the top right because speaking of water, they have been going to town around here. They've been making some dams and they have caused our little brook around here to really back up, and they've made a brand new swamp where there wasn't a swamp before. And I recently read that beavers are very attracted to the sound of running water. And I think it's like they want to make it stop, so they plug it up, or they redirect it, or, you know, they just change the landscape. But it's the sound of running water, I guess, that attracts them and you know, motivates them to action. So, yeah, we have our little brook in the back, and yeah, it's become quite swampy, so not too sure what we're going to do about that. But I was joking. I was like, it's like Dagobah back there. You know, Yoda's swamp from Star Wars. I'm just trimming this bird image because I figured this lady's going to cover it up anyway, and I didn't want it to be too bulky. So just ripped a little bit of that off. I'm really trying to make sure I place everybody on the seam in a way that won't obstruct that little seedling that's growing, because I really love that image. So I'm just trying to be careful in my placement of everything. Oh, and then I found another little image. It's like this rain spout you can put on your house, and then it has, or it's not the rain spout, but the rain spout empties the water out into this cute little resin container that looks like a little pond with some frogs. So I thought that was cute. So I'm going to add that. And I was gluing on that Singing in the Rain DVD, Blu-ray, whatever it is. And I didn't quite like that it had white behind it at the top. So I left the very top unglued so that way I can figure out if I have some scrap or some small picture that I can put behind it. And sometimes I do that. I don't glue it the whole way down if there's like a space under it that I know I probably want to cover. And I've just been trimming, and now I can see that I do have a little bit here. And this is like some water from the pond image at the bottom, but I can just rip it and put it right behind Singing in the Rain, and now I'm happy. That looks perfect to me. I wanted there to just be something behind it. I didn't want it to just be white. There's still some white space around, so I may be able to find something to fill it up. I may not. But that bird up there, I think it's a warbler. Is that what it was? Right here. So I'm going to attempt a dangerous thing. I am attempting to peel the beak up because I don't like all the white back there. So I peel it up and I find this big poofy flower, and I think, well, that looks kind of perfect because it looks like a microphone. So I was like, maybe the bird is like holding this flower microphone and just singing its little heart out, just celebrating spring. And now I am satisfied with that space. Okay, so we have 2 pages in the new altered glue book. We have this page full of flowers. I did find the missing butterfly, so I added that. And then we have our rainy day page. And there's still some space here, so I will probably find something to fill that in with, or maybe just add some paint if I don't have anything that's small enough. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy with how these came out, and I kind of want to keep going, but I'm going to stop here for now. But you can be sure, wait a minute, I didn't round this page. There we go. But you can be sure I'm going to keep on gluing. But for today, so ends our tale. Thank you so much for being here and joining me here today. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you again soon.